Hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of the PLM Green Global Alliance, speaking with PLM related vendors and service partners about their practices related to sustainability. And today, with my partner in crime, Klaus Brettschneider, we are talking with another Green Alliance partner, CIMPA, who is supporting us in the alliance on the theme of circular economy. Today from CIMPA we have Mahdi, Besbes and Pierre David, and first of all I would say welcome. And let's start with the introductions about yourself and your relation to sustainability. Pierre, can I start with you?
Yes, you can. Hello everyone. Nice to meet you. So my name is Pierre David. I'm an environmental engineer. So I'm working on life cycle assessment and eco-design. And there are two different aspects, two different sides on my work. On the first end, there is the work on applying the life cycle assessment for our customers. So performing environmental assessment, pushing the environmental assessment toward eco-design, giving them guidelines and what we like to call environmental business case. So they could choose the best way to implement a new solution, to implement a change, to change their products. And on the other side, there is our work to scale up life cycle assessment, allow people to perform easily environmental assessment, how to integrate life cycle assessment within the existing methodology of management, within, for example, product life cycle management, how to value all this data gathered in the same system to perform life cycle assessment and environmental assessment.
Okay, and personally in your personal life, how important is sustainability for you?
I think it's key now to take into account sustainability in every new development and every current product that all manufacturing are used. So I think during my training, during my school period, I firstly wanted to work alongside aircraft manufacturing aircraft, being, for example, an aircraft designer. And years after years, I realized the fact that I have to focus my brain, my work on these sustainability topics and on this optimization of environmental impact. The awareness, I think, came too late for me.
Okay.
I would like the youngest to be aware earlier than me, so they could change their way earlier. But that's my main focus related to sustainable topic.
Yeah, I have the same. Mahdi, and you, what is your introduction and your relation to sustainability personally?
So hi everybody, I'm Mahdi Besbes. I'm a consulting manager in CIMPA for customer services. I'm working with the aircraft manufacturer and all the stakeholders around the component and the parts in the in-service traceability transformation for continuing airworthiness and sustainability management. I'm also the focal point of CIMPA in the ERG for the circularity, where I'm focusing on working on the data exchange standard to empower circularity in the end-of-life management.
Okay, and well, we hear now many times the word CIMPA, and now we are curious, what is CIMPA doing as a company? Where are you located, and what is your customer base?
We are an European company, so we are mainly located in almost all the European countries. But let's say the aeroline or aviation activity, it's mainly in Toulouse, so around the famous aircraft manufacturer, French one. But our activity, we are, let's say, we accompany all the industrial in their product life cycle management, from the process, the method, the tools. And our approach is we have a global approach where we tackle any subject from the strategy definition to the implementation to the transfer to run mode or operational mode.
Okay. So in that case, you are very broad, and now we're going to zoom in on sustainability in this session. Yeah. Klaus, any questions to start with?
Yeah, I think one question is because we talk about PLM and sustainability, Mahdi. So where do you see the overlap? So what has both sides common, or what can the one side learn from the other side?
There is no overlap. sustainability is part of the product lifecycle of a product. There is engineering, manufacturing, but there is in each stage of the life cycle of a product a part of sustainability. There is a sustainability at the early stage in engineering, there is a sustainability in the manufacturing, there is a sustainability in the in-service, and also in the end-of-life management. So it's integrated. And PLM, by its approach, should tackle it.
Okay. And you have good examples?
Good example. I can give you the example I'm working on it.
Okay.
It's the deployment of digital product passport for the in-service. So the idea it's for in-service, from manufacturer perspective, they need to ensure that their product it's very well maintained, it's complying to airworthiness in the case of aircraft or any aircraft product, to airworthiness regulation. How they can do it? They can do it by having a transparency on the product they deliver it to customer, but also they need transparency from the customer, the user, on how they use those products, to have a view of all the event history of this product.
Okay.
And why? It's to ease, let's say, the usage of product, to be able to see if there is a malfunction, if there is that's what we call a feedback loop, engineering feedback loop on the product, and also to prepare the end of life. The end of life needs all the data from manufacturer, from all the repair, maintenance, repair overall, and also airlines that have been working on this product. Okay. So if the dismantler or recycler have all the information needed, he can empower the reuse of the product, the repair, the recycling in the same, what we call in the same loop, in the same aviation product loop, and we are gaining in it.
Yeah. So you are an excellent advocate of modern PLM, supporting
yes.
the whole life cycle and the feedback loops. But then coming to you, Pierre, you call yourself environmental engineer. Engineer sounds like I'm staying in engineering department, or are you also, I would say, horizontal, active around the full life cycle?
I'm horizontal active along all the life cycle, because our view of sustainability, of environmental assessment, is to spread off information and to gather information from each step of the life cycle. So we need to be horizontal on any business line, any kind of job categories. So that's my view on it.
Okay, and then of course the question comes, and I think you both know it, how do you stay connected to all stages of the life cycle? You have to become digital.
Yes,
of course.
And how far are you or your customers in the move towards becoming more and more digital and connected?
I think it depends on the customers, but the average we can give you is the fact that they are very well connected from everything upstream. The delivery of their product. They've got a good digital continuity of everything that happens before the selling of the product, before the use, but everything that will occur after the use, downstream, the selling of the product, the downstream, the delivery, they are not well connected, and that's the issue and why there is a lot of work related to the digital product passport.
Okay, yeah, I think especially if we talk in the context of aerospace, everything happens upstream, and there is the need for traceability, and you would say, yeah, that's the easy part of the game, still to make it digital.
Easy. Not that easy.
Yeah.
But at least we have an agreement between all the stakeholders around the product. When we talk product, it could be an aircraft or a component on what we call a single truth identity.
Okay.
Digital identity, to have everything on one place.
Okay. And is that a single source of truth, or is it a modern paradigm, the nearest source of truth and the single source of change, which is more a federated idea of thinking in the PLM world?
More on the federated, the agreement today, it's more that everybody will have his own traceability system, his own adapted PLM system to his business. But the idea, it's through standard and protocol like spec, the ATA business specification, the ASD, or other standard to make possible that we talk with each other in the same language to transfer digitally those data from an actor A to an actor B.
So the typical attribute you need for a digital thread is the connectivity. So is this what you're referring to?
Yes, connectivity,
yeah.
protocol, standard that are agreed at the industry level, not country level or let's say manufacturer level. No, it should be at the an agreement between Airbus, Boeing, their supplier, and also airlines and MRO.
And so you talk about standardization, what is basically important to have this kind of connectivity and capability to communicate. I mean, LCAs are very, how can I say this? The information in LCAs can be so different, right? You have biodiversity, you have climate, you have all the other aspects where you can focus on LCA. Do you see any standardization in this area? Are there specific attributes in LCA, Pierre, what you see customers have to have, or how do you handle this variety of LCA KPIs?
So now within the LCA methodology, there is something called the product category rules. So depending on which kind of product or services you are studying, there is some rules telling you that you need, for this kind of product, you need to use this KPI from, for example, the recipe methodology. We need also to use this KPI from another methodology. So there is some product category where there is this kind of standardization, this kind of way of working, how to measure the environmental impact. But there is every other category rule. For example, the aeronautical sector doesn't have this kind of product category rule, where everyone is kind of a bit lost among all these KPIs we can measure, all this way we can measure these KPIs. So what we are doing now to help our customers is to trying to focus our assessment and try to align our assessment with their CSRD strategies. So what is material for them, what are the main KPI at company level, and so we try to reflect the information needed within the CSRD reporting directly on our lifecycle assessment on product. Even if there is a lot of level between coming to the CSRD report, we try to have this kind of logical way of thinking at strategical level, but also at the operational level.
Right. Yeah, because that was going to be my question. We can do a lot of assessments, but then we also have to act on the assessments and to start measuring and to follow up. And how do you see this maturing in companies? Is the CSRD, for example, really driving the implementation of LCA?
From the experience I have, I don't think so, because the CSRD, it's quite well in place. There are many reports. There are the KPI centers. But they don't have the way of bringing the information to the CSRD report. There is not this digital continuity between the top strategy and the operationals. Right. Or if there is something, the way of the KPI measured is not quite good, on my opinion. And something I don't find very mature is the fact that the CSRD report will give to the company, for example, top level requirement, top level objectives, such as reduce your environmental footprint by minus 25% related to the equivalent CO2 released at scope 1 and 2, for example. Then every agency, every plant will receive the same objectives. So every person working on this plant will receive the same objective. Okay, I need to reduce my environmental footprint by 20%. There is no logical way to distribute these objectives between each plant, for example. That's my opinion for now. So it's a good start that there are norms and regulation about environmental impact, but we need to push them forward to make sure they are really efficient.
Yeah. What we see at the moment is that sustainability teams are getting so busy with CSRD reporting that they can actually not focus anymore on their actually sustainability strategy. So I have customers from the double maturity, they know they have to focus on water and other aspects, but because CSRD is so focused on climate and social impact at the moment, that they really get distracted from their own sustainability strategy, what is of course not good, but yeah. Right. So we see the same things. Yeah. Very busy on the CSRD aspect. Yeah. Maybe.
Yes.
That's why not only on CSRD aspect, it should be an operational objective in each business, engineering, manufacturing, customer services. They should work on it to make a maintenance plan, for example, for the aircraft more sustainable, to have let's say, to calculate for all the plan of maintenance, how can we make it more sustainable, to identify all the material that we are using today in the aircraft, in the maintenance of the aircraft, to adapt it to the future regulation and the future constraint in terms of circularity of the component and circularity of the material. Yeah. So it's not only the sustainability team that should focus on it.
That's true, yeah. Yeah.
Which brings me to the interesting topic, because CIMPA is the partner in the circular economy. I mean, so that's a lot about material choices and also design choices. How important do you see changes in organizations to become more circular in their products? Is there a trend? Because composites, you could say, is the opposite.
Yes, that's true. But there is a trend for all the materials that we can call as critical raw materials. So the materials that are very expensive on one side, very polluting, but also very very rare, because in the coming years, for example, some rare metals will be very difficult to create from ore. So they are. I don't think it's the sustainability aspect of the change that push them to launch circular economy around this kind of metals, but there is a trend to launch circular economy initiatives related to all these critical raw materials. But there is also we've met some companies that they completely changed their business strategy from this linear economy to the circular economy, for example, going from selling product to renting product in order to get the information of the maintenance, to make sure they retrieve their product at the end of the life. We see this kind of trend.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the dreams of the European Green Deal, the product service system or product as a service, where the manufacturer owns the full material flow and therefore can be more circular and efficient.
Just let's say, commenting about the composite. There is a lot of effort today that are pushed in the innovation to seek how we can use them or reuse them. Today, the focus is more on how to reuse all the composite that we have in our aircraft in other industry. So the first step. The second step, I think it will be in 5 or 10 years, how can we use them in the aviation? But there is a lot of challenge to do and there is a lot of obstacles, but at least they are aware, they are focusing energy and money on it, which is good, at least.
Yeah. So it's more the cradle-to-cradle concept, where you say your output materials are again new materials for another generation of products. Yeah.
We don't have the choice. In 10 years, we will be at, let's say, at world level, we will be delivering as much aircraft as retiring.
Okay.
So it's a source of a huge source of material that we can use it.
Right.
It will cost less. They did a lot of exploration. Let's say the last couple of years, they have the strategy fixed, and there is a lot of initiative, concept, reflection pushed in the table at business level and operational level, and they see now there is a good business case.
Right.
There is a cost saving, there is an optimization of the end of life, and maybe creation of new services and business.
Okay. So we are talking now a lot in the context of very big companies with a big impact, especially aerospace. Do you also have customers that are, say, in the early stages of discovering sustainability? Do you have smaller size, or are they driven by the bigger ones?
Personally, I don't have this kind of customers, but I can see if we took part of big company, there is, I don't know why, but there is some part, some teams within big company that are starting working with sustainability. So I think it's the same kind of situation. They are pushed by the other teams to start, but they are at the really beginning of the story.
Yeah. Because are you also the educators, or are you part of the journey of your customers to getting more sustainable?
Yes, of course. We've got some trainings to try to warn our customers about the problematics of sustainability, about how to use the method and tools that are already existing. But one of our main focus is to not only train them, but give them the tools to perform themselves the environmental assessment, to understand themselves how to optimize their product and so on.
Okay.
So you mentioned earlier the digital twin for LCA, let's call it this way. There's also the question is, or the challenge I think in LCA is also to break down the information you get out of an LCA at the end to the operation, and that they can actually act on it. Is the idea of the digital twin to make this kind of translation, or is it more to simulate what if situations?
I think it's both of them. On one side, the idea is to allow the engineers to simulate a new product, to simulate a new production line easily, to get environmental information, but also to get an environmental information that they could understand and they could use. Because as you say, and as you know, the result of a life cycle assessment, you could say a lot of KPIs that doesn't mean anything for you if it's the first time you saw them. Yeah. So the idea is on one side, give them the capabilities of performing life cycle assessment, but on the other side, with the result, with easy and understandable results, give them the capabilities to translate the result and to use them for trade-off, to use them to say, okay, that's a lot of environmental impact for my product. I should do something on that element, not on that element of the product.
Mm-hmm. So we are talking about the methodology and the tools, Pierre. Do the tools matter in this case? I mean, are there specific tools, or are many of the LCA type of tools similar, and it's more important that you need to know what you do than that you have to purchase this specific tool?
I think the tool doesn't matter a lot. It's more about the databases. Mm-hmm. Depending on your sector, you should use the specific databases. That's the most important thing. But of course, there is some differences between tools, but you need to be really aware of how to perform an LCA and perform a lot of LCA to understand the differences and be able to use at the best way all the differences of each tools. For example, some of them allow more or less parametrical LCA. The other one cannot allow you to perform that. Mm-hmm. And the main differences are in the customer, the user interface, and the user experiences, not really on the way of doing the LCA, except about the parametrical aspect.
Right, because many times in the PLM world we say people, processes, and then tools, where people often start from the tools and then try to implement the processes and adapt the people. But what I hear, it's the same. It's about first the people and the processes, and then even more important, the data, the databases.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
If you do not count the database as a tool, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think I think there's slightly difference because you in the PLM world you can depend on your own data, but on LCAs you really have to go out and find data related to the product or related to the market or related to the region. Yeah. So I think there's a slightly difference in the necessity of tools in the LCA world. So you need this kind of information, otherwise, so you depend basically on other tools to be able to perform the LCAs.
Yeah, but the PLM could manage those data.
Yeah, and that's another question. So I'm not questioning the role of PLM. At the end, you need these, but you have to get the information into your PLM system to then run with it, right? So
today.
And companies cannot do the analytic part to create these kind of emission factors or something like that, right? So
and I think we have to learn to use the right words. It's not in the PLM anymore. It is it's part of the PLM infrastructure. It could be connected to. We have to think in federated environments, connected environments, because you still hear many times this single source of truth. When I hear this, I get nervous. Everything in one database. And of course, now we talk a lot about data, and we always have to talk about the hype then of AI. Is there already any AI in your business coming up? And do you see either practices or benefit?
AI related to sustainability matters or AI in general?
And mainly to sustainability, because that's the purpose of our discussion. I mean,
okay, so related to sustainability, we are at the beginning of using AI because we firstly need to understand well how to do the things and how to perform the assessment and so on before trying to train an AI to do it by itself to accelerate our work. Right. So we've got some area where we could implement AI. It could help us. For example, when I was talking about the tools that we call it digital twin, environmental digital twin. They are not really environmental digital twin, but I don't have a better word to describe them easily. So we could use AI all on these tools in order to, for example, if I want to create a new part, I know the interfaces, I know the constraints of the part. I push this information on my tool, and then an AI will calculate the best manufacturing route to design this part with the less environmental impact. Right. That's one way we want to use AI. There is also, and despite that, there is only the fact that to accelerate the understanding of new norms, to accelerate the benchmarking of new tools, new elements, where AI could help us, but that's the only thing we think of for now.
Right. I think one of the discussions we have a lot in the field about AI is it needs to run on reliable data. That's step one.
Step one, and we are still at step one.
Yeah.
And also there is something with AI, the fact that as environmental engineer, we also look at AI on the environmental impact aspect. And we see that most of the use of AI will bring more environmental impact that what it could help us to save. So it's a kind of bounce effect. You use AI to reduce your environmental impact, but your own AI and its IT infrastructure will have a more bigger environmental impact. That's why it's tricky to use AI for sustainability matters.
Let's first do a lifecycle assessment about the use of AI.
Yeah, we've got some tools.
We started
some tools. Yes, we've got some tools about the cloud infrastructure, the IT infrastructure. Also, we've got the tools and the materials to assess the environmental impact of AI and of any IT infrastructure. That's why I'm saying that today.
Yes, it's a topic that comes up in many discussions, the amount of power needed for that. However, I'm an optimist. I always think that we learn from our mistakes, and
Yes.
and the better we are connected, the faster we can learn. Huh? I mean,
Yes, of course, we will find the best way of using AI. I'm pretty sure of that.
exactly. We are always
Yes.
curious about what's happening in the field. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so related to both sustainability and PLM, we are working on a topic that we want to automate LCA within within the PLM platforms. So what we've done, we perform a big study to understand at each stage of the development of a product, which kind of data information is available that will be useful for an LCA, and what is the quality of this data at each stage. How can I perform an LCA with this data? And our idea was to create a batch of hypotheses, a batch of decision diagram flow, a batch of logical diagram flow, in order to, once we implement it for example, on a PLM platform, whatever the PLM platform, it will give to the designer, to the manufacturer, for example, on the right top of your screen, an information about, at this stage, your product has this environmental impact. And each modification of the product will change the environmental impact of the product, but on a automated way. That's one topic on which we are working on. Quite difficult, because you can imagine to create all the hypotheses to try to have an environmental assessment just based on the requirement of the product is quite complicated.
Exactly.
But by focusing our work on a very specific kind of product, we succeed to create something. So now the idea is to scale up this thing and to try to create the hypothesis and to gather all the information for other specific domain. But it's one of the very interesting topic we have.
Exactly, and I think the idea is not crazy. I heard in some conferences other people talking about it, the ideas. The challenge, I think, is in the execution to get it workable.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know if you, with the experience you have and all the contact, you've already heard about organizational life cycle assessment and how to use PLM to accelerate organizational life cycle assessment.
Well, what's the definition of organizational life cycle management? I mean,
okay. It's life cycle assessment. It's mainly it has been made for product and services. It's very difficult to apply the life cycle assessment at a company level, in order by following the value chain of the company in order to understand its environmental impact at company level. And there are some work to kind of define the way of performing organizational life cycle assessment.
Okay.
But there are not many applications of it for now, and I think it's not well defined. There isn't a very defined method or process to apply life cycle assessment at organization level. So we are currently working on that thing.
Okay.
I can give you also a second example that we are working on it. It's more digital product passport at component level.
Right.
We worked with the aircraft manufacturer and a couple of what we call early adopter broker, part distributor, and airlines on the vision to develop this digital product passport. So we have frozen what we call the framework adapted to aviation, and to serve both objectives. The first one is more airworthiness compliance, to have all the data needed for that, and also circularity. But it's more on circularity of parts. How can I reuse the most, to use the potential of the component at the most? And we have been working on it since 2 years, and we defined all the data needed for any transaction from the delivery of the component up to recycling. It's quite a big matrix of data, but it and we defined any if each data that is produced, we have like a referential, each actor, what data I need from the actor before me, what data I need to store and what data I need to transfer. And by that we have created this referential, and after that we based on the requirement. There is a lot of requirement in terms of data governance and export control for each actor.
Yeah.
And it's quite a complex subject to address with them. All the actors are quite touchy on it. So we created what we call an adaptive governance system. So I can select what I want to share, what I want you to have as owner, and what I want to be in my framework, and I don't want anybody to see.
Okay.
Is the focus more on the things regulations are requiring companies to provide? So what kind of information are actually in the DPP?
Today it is answering to the regulation in aviation. For example, a manufacturer, it's subject to Part 21G. The airlines, it's more Part M regulation. The MRO Part 145. So we address it. We seeked all the data needed to be compliant. And then on second step, we said, what do you need operationally also to ease your activity? And with that, we have about, let's say, 400 fields of data.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to conclude, because the time is running out, I think it was a pleasure to hear such advanced sustainability stories. And I think as we started, Mahdi, when you had your introduction, that aerospace has traceability. And I think that's one of the benefits why we can have this kind of mature discussions about sustainability also. Other industries are probably very far from where we would like to be. So yeah, thank you for your insights. Klaus, any points from your side that...
No, always a pleasure to talk.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.